Hello everyone and a Happy New Year! So here we go again, we've reached another New Year's Day, first day of 2022, hope you're having a lovely New Year's Day, and we're going to do your New Year's Day roundup. So this has become a little bit of a tradition at GavsWeatherVids over the past few years, that we do a New Year's Day roundup, looking at things like sea surface temperature anomalies and solar activity, QBO, all that sort of stuff, and of course we will have a look at the weather for next week, 10 days and beyond in the second half of the video as well, so it will become like a regular 10 to 14 day after the roundup section at the beginning. It'll all become apparent in a moment. Just say that first video is our 7 AM upload. We've got Terry Scottish January forecast coming up for you around 7 o'clock this evening. So please like, share, subscribe on the videos. Thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much to Richard for the lovely New Year's Day gift. Thank you so much, Rich, for the gift. I love it. I love the New Year's Day gift. Thank you so much, my friend. Fireworks were going off here last night. Going crazy. So yeah, thank you so much, Rich. For the gift. I do wonder about people that, you know, I've had a few letting off, like, fireworks in the middle of the night. I don't know, I mean, it never used to happen when I was younger, but it's become a tradition, you know, that people like to let off their fireworks, hasn't it, in the middle of the night on New Year's Day. But, you know, I hope everybody stays safe anyway when they're doing that, if they had a drink. But anyway, thank you so much, Richard, for the gift. Looks absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Rich, for the New Year's Day gift. Just to say that this New Year's Day roundup is ahead of the return of the Sunday roundup, which will be back next Sunday. This year, I think we're going to do Sunday roundup once a month rather than every week. So I felt last year again a little bit repetitive to do Sunday roundup every week. So I think we'll probably do it at least for a while anyway, for the first few months of the year. Probably do it like once a month, and then in between we will you know, we'll do just like a regular 10 to 14 day video on a Sunday. So I hope that's okay with everybody. The first Sunday roundup of this year will be with you next Sunday, and then I suppose the next one after that will be like the first Sunday of February, and then the first Sunday of March, if you see what I mean. So that's the idea. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about that idea, everyone. Right, as I say, hope you're having a lovely New Year's Day, and now let's crack on with your New Year's Day roundup. Let's do it, shall we? I'm so sorry, everybody. Right, we're going to start off with solar activity. This is how the solar disk is currently looking on our side of this day from solarham.net. We've not looked at any of this since we signed off on winter updates, of course, so there's been a lot of developments, particularly solar-wise. More about that in a second. But as far as solar activity is concerned, we have got some sunspot regions, some there, another cluster just there, and something going on up there as well. Despite those sunspot regions, solar activity is at low levels, so but I think we are expecting a chance of some solar flares in the next 3 days. So although we're low at the moment, solar activity might go to moderate levels in the next 3 days. Now, this is the GavsWeatherVids New Year's Day 2022 Roundup Solar Tracker, been updated by Shrine. This is the first time Shrine has updated our tracker since we did the last winter update at the end of November. And look what's happened. We have had a massive spike in sunspots during the course of December. So, where we signed off at the beginning of, or the end, end of November, beginning of December, was just around here. So activity was at a relatively low level. We did actually get a few spotless days early in December down here. The orange line with the orange spots is depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity, by the way. So the two spots we see down the front of the chart, they're telling us that on those days in early December, we actually had no sunspots on those days. However, look at this big ramp up that takes place straight after that. And so as we approach the Christmas period, very interestingly, we get this massive spike up in sunspot numbers. That would be the most amount of sunspots I think we've had, probably going back to around 2015, 2016, I would have thought. I'm sure Shrine will be able to confirm that. But anyway, you know, a big old ramp up in activity. There is some speculation that this may have been responsible for our cold Christmas going down going down the tubes. I don't know whether it's that, you know, whether the link between sunspot numbers on a daily basis and the overall weather patterns is that linear, really. You know, we have had cold winters that have occurred around solar maximum. For example, 1947 was around a solar maximum, or certainly quite a big, you know, quite an active period of solar activity. I'm not sure if it's actually solar maximum year, but it was getting towards solar maximum, I think, in 1947. 1981-82 also occurred in a period of high solar activity as well. That was around solar maximum for that solar cycle. So we can get cold winters even around solar maximums, although they are rarer. But I'm not sure, you know, there is speculation, but this big ramp up in activity that we have from like a low level in early December to a much higher level just before Christmas, that you know, ramp up put the spanner in the works for the cold Christmas, and you know, the way it all fell apart was because of this ramp up in activity. I don't know whether that's right or not. You know, let me know in the comments what you think about that. Did that ramp up in solar activity, was that responsible for the cold Christmas going down the pan? I think it was just very unlucky, really, more than anything else with the cold Christmas. But it may have had an influence as well, here and there. But yeah, anyway, that shows what happened in December. We really did have a big spike activity. We're now reducing sunspot numbers, so we're seeing the sunspot numbers coming down through the end of December. And where we go from here, you know, through 2022 will be interesting to see. We are going to be moving towards the solar maximum, of course, the solar cycle 25. I think we're expecting the solar maximum to be around 2025, interestingly, so solar cycle 25, and I think we're expecting the maximum to be around 2025 as well. So we've got a year or two before we get to solar maximum, but we can expect in the coming year that we will see activity lifting up. Thank you so much to Shryan for keeping the solar activity tracker updated for us. Now, who am I today? Let's have a look, shall we? Oh, wow, I've been turned into the Donald. It's Gav Trump today. Thank you so much, Rich, for turning me into the Donald. I don't know. I know, what would Gav do if he controlled, like, the world in the White House? I don't know. But thank you so much, Rich, for turning me into the Donald. Right, okay, so this just brings you up to date with what happened in 2021. So we've looked at this throughout last year, showing spotless days and the current spotless stretch. So we can we've established that the current spotless stretch is 0 days, as we have got sunspots at the moment. But in terms of 2021 overall, we had this was updated right up to New Year's Eve, you know. We had 64 days without sunspots, which was 17.5%, 17.5% of the year of 2021 did not have sunspots. That is comparable to 2020, which had 208 days without sunspots. That's 57% of the year. And 2019, which had 281 days without sunspots. That is 77% of the year. That's our solar minimum year, of course. So the year that we're comparable from the last solar cycle, 24, to this year is 2010. So 2010 had 51 days without sunspots. That was 14% of the year. So actually we have had a slightly bigger percentage of days without sunspots and a total number of days without sunspots in 2021 compared to the comparable year in 2020. Now, to give us some idea about what we are to expect for this year, 2022, have to look at 2011. This will be like the comparable year for 2022 from solar cycle 24. So that year only had 2 days. 2011 only had 2 days without sunspots, and that was less than 1% of the year. So if the same holds true, those spotless days, let's go back to them. Actually, the 2 spotless days that we had just here at the end of, or at the beginning, I should say, of December, those 2 spotless days, they might be the last spotless days that we get you know, for quite a long while if we continue to track solar cycle 24, you know, with this solar cycle, which have been doing for some time. So it's possible that 2022 will be a much more active year for solar activity if we continue to be similar to 2011. Remember though, even though we did have a spike up in activity in 2011, it was a more active year. It was still at a relatively low level even then. Solar cycle 25 was the weakest solar cycle for over a century. We're expecting solar cycle 24 to be a weak solar cycle as well. So yeah, you know, we'll just wait and see how it all comes out. But I think we're going to have a much more active year for solar activity anyway in 2022, and we will see how active it gets. Thank you so much to Shryan and to Rich for the data, and to Rich for turning me into the Donald. Wow. I don't know, he's a strange character, isn't he, Donald? Right, let's have a look at sea surface temperature anomalies. So this is how things look in terms of sea surface temperature anomalies when we signed off on the winter updates. This is from the 1st of December, so around when we signed off on winter updates. The four areas of interest, the Indian Ocean over here, the ENSO region just there. We've got the Northern Pacific over there, and we've got the North Atlantic over here. That's how the oceans were looking when we did, or when we ended our winter updates. This is the very latest, as of the 30th of December. To be honest, over the month, there hasn't been all that much difference. Really, let's deal with the ENSO region first of all. So La Nina has weakened a little bit, I think, through December, particularly in the western portion of the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. Just there, we've seen a little bit of shrinkage of the La Nina over the past month, and a bit of a weakening. Still, you know, like a weak to moderate La Nina through the central part of the Equatorial Pacific, but it has become an eastern based. So this is an eastern-based, moderate, weak to moderate La Nina, really. So, yeah, you know, we saw in the winter updates that eastern-based La Nina, and particularly if they're not too strong, they tend to favour cold winter. So the fact that we've had a mild December, more about that in a moment, and the fact that, you know, the first half of winter is looking quite mild, I don't think we can put that down to La Nina, to be honest. I don't think La Nina is responsible for that, because this isn't an overly strong La Nina, and it is basically eastern base as well. The coldest anomalies are in the eastern part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. Going north, we still have the cold PDO signature as well, although that has weakened slightly, but that's how things looked in the northern and northeastern Pacific when we signed off on the winter updates. This is how they're looking now, and so, yeah, you know, you can see that we still have those cold average sea surface temperature anomalies just there to the west of Canada and Northern America. It's still a bit of a signature for cold PDO through here as well. It all looks much of a muchness. I have to say, the Pacific looking much of a muchness from how it looked, you know, as we began the winter. A month on, there's been very little change really in the Pacific. Over in the Indian Ocean, I think we're still at IOD neutral phase, so it's a bit cooler through here, rather warm over here. So I don't think, you know, we certainly haven't got a particularly positive IOD. So again, I don't think we put that down to mild start to winter. And then in the North Atlantic, let's go back and see how things looked at the beginning of December in the North Atlantic. That's where we're looking now, of course, compared to now. Not much change, just a warm North Atlantic. That's continuing, that's gone on for several months, and yeah, so warm sea surface temperature is in the Atlantic Ocean from Greenland all the way down to the tropics. Maybe that's responsible for the mild first half to winter. I suppose it certainly adds a few degrees on to the westerly wind, maybe. We haven't got a tripole, so remember we are looking, and we're probably expecting a bit of a tripole to emerge, so that's warmer to south of Greenland, cooler through here, and then warmer down into the tropics. We are expecting that, we was expecting that to emerge based on the sea surface temperature anomalies that we had in May of 2020. Well, not much sign of a tripod at the moment, just have a generally warm North Atlantic Ocean. But then again, we had quite a warm North Atlantic Ocean, you see, in 2010. You know, we have December to remember. We had a tripole then, of course, but the Atlantic overall was quite warm. So again, I'm not sure we can really put the mild first half of winter down to the oceans. They don't look overly bad to me, I would have thought, for a cold winter. But let me know in the comments what you think about that anyway. But it is interesting over the month. It's been very little change either in the Pacific, either in the Indian Ocean or in the Atlantic Ocean. All very static, really, in terms of what the oceans have been doing. QBO, quasi-biennial oscillation, is looking like this. So the easterly QBO phase is still with us. So again, we can't put down the mild first half of winter to the QBO sort of failing. The easterly QBO is definitely there. It's within the troposphere. It's quite a strong easterly QBO, as well. You can see from this blue-green area here descending from the stratosphere into the troposphere through the past several months, but the easterly QBO is well and truly entrenched within the troposphere, and should be weakening the zone of westerlies to some degree. We do know that not every single easterly QBO winter is cold by any means. If it was only as simple as saying that you've got an easterly QBO, so you have a cold winter, you've got a westerly QBO, so you have a mild winter, it's not as simple, straightforward as that. There are easterly QBO winters that have been mild. 2013-14 is one pretty good example. So yeah, every year is individual, every year is unique and different, but from a QBO perspective, the easterly QBO is there. Probably increases the chance of a bit of a stratospheric warming as well later on in the winter and whatnot. So easterly QBO, well, at least we didn't have a failure of the easterly QBO. Anyway, just remember last year we did have it in 2020. I should say that's like 2 years ago now, as it's New Year's Day. We did have the failure of the easterly QBO. We definitely didn't have that this time. The easterly QBO is there, just doesn't seem to be having all that much effect at the moment on the troposphere. But maybe it will later on in the winter. Westerly QBO, the next westerly QBO phase is within the top of the atmosphere, by the way, in the stratosphere up here. So that sandy area, that is probably the next westerly phase of the QBO, but we expect to descend into probably around the summer. I would have thought we'd start seeing that push down towards the troposphere, and then next winter, 2022-2023, will almost certainly, I would have thought, be a westerly QBO winter. Arctic oscillation observed and forecast is looking like this. The black line shows where we've been, with the AO, the red lines at the end, where GFS ensembles are forecasting the Arctic oscillation to go. So at the moment, the AO is negative, as it has been through the first half of December. This tells us that we've got pretty small levels of blocking within the North Pole. They haven't been in a position to deliver anything particularly cold in our part of the world, but the blocking has been there. And as I always say, the important issue is where the blocking is sitting. If one is somewhere it's on the cold side of the block, somewhere else will be on the mild side of the block. So we've happened to find ourselves on the cold side of the blocking, like Northern and Western America, or Western and Northwestern America, and also Japan have been on the cold side of blocking. In any case, as we go through the first half of January, it looks like the AO is going to begin to trend into a more positive type state. Not strongly positive, but it definitely looks like the AO is moving into a more positive phase for the first half of January, which probably tells us that the blocking signal begins to reduce through the first half of January. NAO is also going positive as well. So at the moment, the NAO is around neutral to slightly negative, but through the first half of January, we see quite a strongly positive or solidly positive phase of the NAO taking place. So the two indexes going positive through the first half of January probably tells us that westerlies and zonality is going to be, going to be quite dominant through the first half of January, which we are expecting anyway. So, yeah, watch out. Westerlies and zonality are on the way, I believe. Right, so let's have a look at latest temperature observations. So look at this, absolutely extraordinary. We've got 17 degrees there. These are latest temperature observations from XC Weather. 17 degrees at Calais. So actually that's outside of the UK, but nevertheless it's very warm out there. It's 15 degrees at London Heathrow. Got 16 at London City Airport. Got Lakenheath at 15 degrees. It's going to be warmest New Year's Day on record, following the warmest New Year's Eve on record. The extraordinary New Year heat wave continues. At 17 we're having Calais. We might see that appearing in one of these stations in the southeast in the next hour or two. I'm recording this video just before 1 p.m. in the afternoon. There's around another hour or so left of potential heating. So one of these stations, might get up to 17 degrees. But even if they don't, like 15 or 16 will be a record breaker for New Year's Day. So after the warmest New Year's Eve on record, we now have the warmest New Year's Day on record as well. The CT is in for December, so this is from Hadley, of course. It's shown every year, a month's worth of CT back to 1659. It's the oldest and most reliable temperature record anywhere on Earth. Over the further back you go, the more unreliable it gets. But if we come down to the latest year of 2021, so the full year's worth of data is now in, and very good of you, Kemet, to update this on New Year's Day, isn't it? So we see that December came out at 6.4. That's about where I was expecting. We thought 6.3. It's actually been it's actually come out at 6.4. Very, very mild December indeed, a warm December. And that is for the yearly temperature, we come out at 10.26. 10.26 is where we come out for the yearly temperature, which means you have had our coolest year since 2013. Last year was at 10.76. 2019 was at 10.34. 2018 at 10.68. 2017 at 10.58. 2016 at 10.34. 2015 at 10.31. 2014 at 10.95. That is the warmest year. Then we have 2013 at 9.61. That's our last, cold year, really. Although, 20 to 30 years ago, that would have been like an average yearly CT, but that's quite cold now, 9.61. And then also 9.72 in 2012, very warm year in 2011 at 10.72. And our last extremely cold year was in 2010, which was 8.86. That's our last extremely cold year in 2010. So, yeah, coolest year since 2013, although not especially cold. And December CT at 6.4, very, very mild. In terms of December, the last time we had a December as mild as this was in 2018, which was at 6.9. Just there, but we have had a lot of very mild Decembers since the December to remember. So we had December to remember in 2010, which was extremely cold at minus 0.7. Then all of them after that really have been mild to varying degrees. 2011 was very mild at 6.0. 2012 was a little bit cool at 4.8, but not cold. 2013, December was very, very mild, warm at 6.3. 2014, a little bit cooler, but not cold, 5.2. We had that extraordinary December in 2015 at 9.7, smashing the warmest December on record. That's an absolutely incredible month in December 2015. They have another warm December in 2016 at 6.0. A little bit cooler for 2017, 4.8, but again, not particularly cold, just near normal or a bit above average. 2018, very warm, 6.9. 2019, 5.8, and 2020, 5.0. Yeah, they're a bit cooler, but not particularly cold. You've got to go back all the way to 2010 for the last time we had a cold December. What a cold December it was. Let's not forget that. The temperature was extraordinarily cold. But yeah, it's been a long time, since we had a cold December. Will we get one in 2022? We've got 12 months or so to find out. Okay, let's do some forecasting then. I'm going to start off by having a look at the upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for Birmingham from the GFS. So this is how things are currently looking. Temperature's on the way down now. The red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Birmingham. We are starting off significantly above average at the moment, of course, but the temperature has reduced from a few hours ago when we was up here. We're now around 5 Celsius at 850 HPA rather than 10 Celsius. Nevertheless, still very mild. We are going to see the temperature continue to reduce over the next few days. So actually, by the time we get through to around the middle of next week, we are a bit colder than average. And it looks like the next few days after that are going to be relatively cool. There is a little bit of zonal sine wave that's indicated there. So we've got warmer and cooler sectors alternating, but that's rather cool there, I have to say, as we go through the second week of January today. And then into like the middle part of the month, this period just here, it looks like we're quite close to average. There is quite a bit of scatter within that as well. Regular precipitation spikes from start to finish, so it is going to be an unsettled week coming up. Now, there's the GFS is, and we'll talk about this at the end of the video, GFS is hinting at a little bit of snow, some parts of England and Wales on Tuesday. So we'll have a look at the 2 metre temperature. First of all, we can see that's on its way down, of course, starting off up here, exceptionally mild or warm. And by the 5th of December or so, we're down here, so we're under 5 degrees. And then quite cool, really, with chance of some night frost as well, as we go into second week of January. January, before maybe things start getting a little bit milder later on in the month, though there is a lot of scatter within that. But if you have a look at the snow road, this is quite interesting. This creeped up on us. Look at these snow spikes that we have in Birmingham. Now, Birmingham normally does well, with marginal snow events because it is at quite a high elevation. But look at this. This is the most snow spikes that we've seen for Birmingham, for this winter, actually. So the GFS and its ensembles look like they're quite strongly forecasting risk of some snow around Tuesday and into Wednesday. The high res is not going for it at the moment, and then after that there are still some snow spikes as well as we go further on from the second week of January, albeit a little bit reduced. It looks like we lose the snow risk as you get through to the middle of the month, but that's really crept up on us over the past 24 hours. 24 hours ago it didn't look like there's going to be any snow or any possibility of snow really over the next few days, but this is something that's developed in the last 24 hours, and we'll have a look at it in a moment. Temperature anomalies on the 1st and the 9th of January, about average, which is cooler than these charts have looked since Christmas, really. That does include today's exceptionally mild day as well, so this, when it updates tomorrow, might actually look a little bit colder than average, maybe. Precipitation anomalies from the 1st to the 9th of January, more or less wetter than average in most areas. Also, the latest wind flow map from urbanoldschool.net shows that we're still dragging up those very mild or warm southwesterly winds. They're coming from south of the Azores. We've been talking about this in videos lately. They're coming from like Madeira and the Canary Islands and the Azores and south of the Azores, and even yesterday was a component of the air from Central Africa, which is absolutely insane, really. However, you can see that we have got these westerlies beginning to move towards us. That is still a generally mild wind direction, but it will be a lot cooler than these sort of long fetched southerly southwesterlies. So we are, within the next 24 hours, going to cut off this extremely record-breakingly warm southerly southwesterly, and we will replace it with this westerly. So if you don't like your New Year's and, midwinter periods being exceptionally mild, only a few more hours to wait, and then you will start feeling a bit of a chill returning to the wind. Let's have a look at some chart data then. So this is how the UK Met Euro, so it's midnight on Tuesday. This is below just here that Somos, GFS in particular, at the moment is flirting with a snow event from on Tuesday. But UK Met not really interested in that at the moment. It's too far south. It pulls in this colder northerly wind. So we go cold around mid part of the week with wintry showers in the north and the east and a cold northerly wind. And then low pressure back in off the Atlantic. Second half of next week returning us to wet and windy weather. And that's how it looks as we get to the end of the midnight UK Met Euro. Gets us to midnight on Saturday in a westerly wind with showers, and they might be wintry in the north, but it's not particularly cold. This is how Icon is looking again on Tuesday. We're bringing in those northerly winds. That's below just here. It's across northern France with midnight Icon run. Much too far south to deliver any snow to England and Wales on Tuesday. But we are turning colder on Tuesday with those northerly winds. And it stays cold into the middle of next week as well for milder, wetter and windy weather. Comes back through the second half of the week, and then low pressure, pushing through into next weekend. Maybe a little bit colder again by Saturday, the 8th of January. We call this cold zonality, and it can deliver some snow, particularly to northern areas. I'll just go back to that 72-hour Icon run, and we'll have a look at the 6 there and see where it is with that low. So if we go back to around 60 hours with Icon, so maybe the low's a little bit further northwards on the 6 Icon compared to the midnight run. If you go to 66 hours, yes, it's still too far south, really. It's down here, but it has probably trended a little bit further northwards, to be honest. So that's one to watch on Tuesday. There might be some rain, sleet or snow across southern areas. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Then that gets out of the way through Tuesday anyway. We're going to this colder northerly wind. This is how the GFS is looking a lot further north with that low pressure at midnight on Tuesday. There it is, just there to southwest of England. And look at that. This go through to midday on Tuesday. A major low pressure area sitting across southern England. As you'll see at the end of the video, that does, from the GFS output, that does develop into a snow event on Tuesday for England and Wales. That low moves into the North Sea. On Wednesday, we go into this colder northerly wind, and then in second half next week we're back into milder, wetter, windy weather with low pressure in off the Atlantic. Again, we have low pressure digging southwards there at the end of next weekend. That starts pulling some colder air from the north. So again, this is cold zonality, might deliver some snow to northern areas, mostly rain in the south. Up towards the extended range day 10, just maintaining like westerlies really, and then we keep it pretty mild with the GFS midnight run until the very end when we start pulling something a bit colder from the north around the middle part of the month. But again, only a brief cold snap there. The GFS 6 then also has that area of low pressure, might deliver a snow event to southern areas on Tuesday. There it is in the south, so a lot of uncertainty about where that area of low pressure is going. And by Wednesday, that's out of the way and we're into this colder northerly wind. And then the second half of next week goes back to milder, wetter and windier weather once again. Heading up towards day 10, low pressure continues to come in from off the Atlantic Ocean, and we keep it unsettled and zonal up to the middle part of the month, by which time we start to turn colder. So by the very end of the GFS 6 said 17th of January, we'll begin to pull in some colder winds from the north as the high pressure is pushing into the middle of the North Atlantic. The GEM also has that snow event on Tuesday. There's a low just there to the southwest. By the time you get through to midnight on Wednesday, that low is in across the low country, so it's moved across southern England, delivered snow, and then we pull in this cold northerly wind in its wake. Then bring this next low in, and again the GM has that on a southerly track as well, so that will be another snow event, this time a bit further northwards. The second half next week, no other model has that low pressure as far south as that though, so it is an outlier, but that will deliver more snow for northern areas second half next week. And then we finish up with the GM looking like that. High pressure takes over to our south and east. So that's probably bringing frost like to some of the eastern areas, relatively mild in the north and the west. And then the ECM a bit further south with that low. Midnight on Tuesday is mooring towards France. Really, and we're into cold northerly wind though by Wednesday. Doesn't last long. Second half next week we're back into those westerlies, wet, windy and relatively mild. The ECM main keeps it mild up to day 10, which is the 11th of January. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. Plenty of rain coming and going. That's Tuesday. Very wet in the south and southeast. No snow with that from the ECM. So the ECM not going for snow for England and Wales on Tuesday. And then we're into like cold zonality, so there could be some snow in north and west areas, mostly rainbow down in the south, all the way up to day 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles day 4. Day 10 gets to the 11th of January. 14 members of the ECM ensembles, including control of the operation run, have high pressure set to the south and low pressure to the north and northwest, so that's going to be quite mild to day 10. 12 with low pressure in off the Atlantic, along with a westerly wind as well. 9 with high pressure sitting over just to the east of the country, mainly dry, could be a little bit frosty with that. 8 with low pressure in off the Atlantic, that's going to be relatively mild and wet and windy. And then another 8 with high pressure going up towards Scandinavia. That's the coldest option, that would bring in wind from a bit more of an easterly or northeasterly direction. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. Gets us to the 16th of January. 19 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure in from the Atlantic, wet and windy, relatively mild. 18 again with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the west, and winds in the westerly direction. That might be turning a little bit cooler from the northwest though. Then we have 14 with high pressure ridging from the Azores to Scandinavia, so that's going to be setting things down. Would be frosty and potentially bring in a bit of an easterly and could be quite cold into the south. So a range of options at both day 10 and day 14. CFS V2 looks like this. These are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. The first week period takes us from today, New Year's Day, to the 7th of January, with high pressure to the south. We're bringing up those mild westerly winds. Remember, next week does turn colder around the middle part of the week. Week 2 will be the 8th to the 14th of January, with low pressure to the north and also to the east, high pressure out to the west. That could start bringing something a little bit colder from the northwest, to be honest. Might be a little bit cold snap with that. Week 3 is the 15th to 21st of January. Low pressure to the north, high pressure out in North Atlantic. That might be lining majestic on a northwest-southeast alignment. So for northern areas, that could be quite wintry actually. For the south, probably just on a cold rain. And it goes on into week 4 as well, 22nd, 28th of January. Low pressure again to our north-northwest, high pressure to our west and southwest. Winds probably in from a west to northwesterly direction. I mean, there's no blocking with that, but northern blocking is gone, so it's all driving in from the Atlantic. There might be a northwest-southeast alignment to the jet stream that could deliver something a bit cooler or colder at times to Scotland, but for southern areas, I would have thought just plenty of cold rain going through. Before we go, let's just very quickly have a look at the chance of that snow on Tuesday. So this is the precipitation type broadcast from the GFS midnight run from the Weather Outlook. So, of course, at the moment, it's record-breakingly mild. There is going to be some rain coming up over the weekend as well as it begins to cool down. And by Monday, we're starting to get wintry showers into Scotland. And then we go through Monday night into Tuesday, and that low comes up from the southwest and brings lots of heavy rain initially into the south, but as that bumps into the cold air, look at this, the GFS midnight run really goes to town with a lot of heavy snow through the early hours of Tuesday and into Tuesday morning across England and Wales. That is a proper old snow event there, away from like southern counties. Anyway, meanwhile further north there is plenty of wintry showers there. And it's not till it's carrying on snowing through most of Tuesday for parts of Midlands and East England, for example. It's not until the evening that gets out of the way, and then we turn things drier before more wet weather comes in off the Atlantic. You know, that might bring some snow to more northern areas, but it's primarily rain down in the south. The 6 edge GFS looking like this. So again, we're starting off record-breaking mild, no snow anywhere, even shouldn't find it on the top of the Scottish mountains at the moment. It does turn colder though by the start of next week, and then again that low pressure bumps into the cold air, and the 6 edge GFS also going for a very significant snow event there on Tuesday morning, widely across England and Wales, away from the far south and the southeast. Could we go from like record-breakingly warm to a big snow event within 4 days? It would be remarkable to do so, but it just goes to show how strange the weather can be sometimes. I would expect this gets downgraded in the end, but we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next day or so. By the end of next week, we're into like that cold zonality type pattern with most of the wintriness only in the north and mostly rain down in the south. The GEM is also signalling a snow event on Tuesday. So again, precipitation type forecast overnight, Monday to Tuesday shows, you know, lots of heavy snow there across particularly Wales and Midlands, northern England. It is rain down in the south, but even in the south it turns to snow through the course of Tuesday itself. So yeah, you know, we've got GFS and GM both going for snow on Tuesday, but then the high res models aren't interested in this at the moment. So this is UKV highest res model that we've got. Really from UK Met, and we can see that at the moment we're just talking about rain pushing through, but we get through to Monday and Tuesday. There is snow in the north, and there's that wet weather in the south, but it doesn't get far enough north and stick around long enough to turn to snow, you know. So by 3 a.m. on Tuesday, the UKV model is moving that away into the southern North Sea, so definitely no snow event at all whatsoever in UKV, other than wintry showers in northern and western areas. We'll just have a look at the 6Z icon and see whether that did anything. And if you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button as well. Make sure you sub to the channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. So this is the 6Z icon. Just see what that one is doing. So, again, no, nothing really showing up with the 6Z icon either in terms of snow on Tuesday, other than a little bit across northern England from that weather front just there. But that main low pressure, that's further south, as you see, the low pressure that would deliver the snow event with the GFS and the GMs actually across France there on Monday night and into Tuesday morning. So not far enough north to do anything wintry with that. Right, so as I say, if you enjoyed this video, please, so it's all to be determined what happens on Tuesday. I would suspect that snow event will downgrade. You know, the GFS and GM are probably off on a tangent with that. The high res isn't interested, so I expect that to downgrade. But we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll keep informed, obviously, over the next day or two. If you have enjoyed this New Year's Day roundup, please smash the like button, make sure you sub to the channel, don't forget to tell your friends and family about GavsWeatherVids, and thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. And once again, a Happy New Year. to all of you. And that is our New Year's Day roundup for 2022, nearly 40 minutes. So it's been an epic bit. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please smash that like button if you have. Thank you so much to Rich for the New Year's Day gift. And yeah, we're going to be back this evening after 7 o'clock with Terry Scoley's January forecast. You find out what Terry's forecasting for January this evening. Tomorrow we'll have a 7 a.m. upload, just a 10 to 14 day regular video coming up tomorrow, and there may be a live stream tomorrow evening. I'm not sure. I'll let everybody know tomorrow, you know, if we're going to be live streaming in the evening or not, but there might be a live stream, first live stream of the year tomorrow evening, but more about that tomorrow. You enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day, and for this year's 2022 New Year's Day roundup, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.